Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Southern Virginia University Women's Volleyball tonight from the Knight Sports Arena. I'm Jim Bresnahan. I'm joined by the men's volleyball coach, Tom Peterson, and we are ready to bring you women's volleyball. The Knight's getting ready to host the York Spartans tonight, Tom, and what a season it has been for the Southern Virginia University women's volleyball team, currently on that long winning streak. The last time they lost was September the 9th at Washington and Lee. They have won 10 straight matches. And they are undefeated also in the Capital Conference. They are 3-0 after their big road match victory against Frostburg last weekend. And now they've got two home matches coming up this weekend, tonight against York, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock against Penn State Harrisburg. They are trying to stay undefeated again in the Capital Conference, and they're also trying to maintain that long winning streak.
Well, it's been a while since we've had a home match, and there's been nothing but good news coming from away matches. 10-0 now, it's 10 matches in a row, wins. That's just incredible. And now the Knights are starting to climb up in the rankings of some statistics nationally as well.
And if they maybe get a few more wins, they might actually make the top 25, or at the very least, I would think they would make that little paragraph under the top 25, the others receiving votes.
Yeah, the next few matches will determine this. They probably have to win these matches at home and then beat one of the top teams, the traditional top teams in the conference. When that would be, next week or the week after?
Yeah, they've got York tonight. They got the doubleheader against Penn State Harrisburg tomorrow morning, followed by the non-conference match in the afternoon against Bridgewater, home against Virginia Wesleyan, and then the big road match weekend, the doubleheader coming up on the 20th and 21st, Friday the 20th at Christopher Newport, Saturday, May the 20th, or September or October the 21st. I'd make that next Saturday at Mary Washington. I'll tell you, at this particular point, obviously, they're just going to try to focus one match at a time, including the latest match here against York. But the way these guys are playing, I mean, again, a 10-game winning streak. The sky is the limit for the women's volleyball team. As far as the Knights are concerned, I mean, we maybe started the season thinking about let's just make the Capital Conference tournament this year, unlike last year. But, you know, again, you got to keep your head and just focus on the match at hand. But, I mean, there's a lot of things that these guys could reach. I mean, we're talking about maybe the Division III tournament, winning the Capital Conference in the regular season, winning the Capital Conference tournament this year. The sky's the limit, I think, for the Knights.
Yeah, all those goals are still intact. If they were not to make the conference at this point in time, it would be a huge disappointment. I think it would mean that they would have to lose most of the games the rest of the way, which they're not going to do. They're just a good team right now.
Let's see if the Knights can get off to a good start here in set one against the York Spartans. Hannah Allred from the left side getting it across. Good block by Hannah, but out of bounds.
The top couple of players there for York, number 10 hitting that ball, and she hits a heavy ball. It looks like she's left-handed, hits it on the right side of the court.
That one's going to be a service error, so we're tied at 1. York came in also undefeated in the conference. They got a pretty good record overall, too, 16-5, 2-0 in the conference. Knights are 14-4, 3-0 in the Capital Conference. And, of course, Christopher Newport still undefeated as well in the Capital Conference. They are 5-0. They are 19-3 overall. They had a very close victory against Mary Washington last night, winning 3 out of 5 sets. So it was a close call for Christopher Newport. But right now they are atop the conference at 5-0. The Knights right behind at 3-0. York 2-0.
Yeah, this is going to be a very tight race right up to the end now. And that play by the Knights, that was just one of those plays that you wouldn't normally see at this point in the season, where you look at the ball and whose ball is it, and you both kind of go for it and then not go for it, and that's it's unfortunate.
And then some indecision there by Laree Crockett, so that's 2 straight points where the Knights have had some indecision and miscommunication. They're trying to shake off the cobwebs here in this first set, and Michaela Knight cannot reach that one.
Yeah, one thing I think the Knights have to be careful of is that they haven't played a really, really good team for a little while, and especially a home match, trying to prove at home that they can beat a good team, and York is a good team.
Well, they did beat Frostburg last weekend, but they also beat Hollins on Tuesday. There's a kill by Penny Gwynn, so they actually haven't played for 3 or 4 days, and I don't know what maybe obviously every coach has its different thoughts. Tom, how about your thoughts? I mean, would you like to be playing every 2-3 days, or at some points in the season you like to get maybe 3 or 4 days off to get a rest?
Yeah, I think at this point in the season, if you play every few days, if you have any injuries, that's when that comes into play. But every weekend, I think, is plenty good right now.
That was Erin Bradley with the kill. She's actually third on the team in kills, number 10, 145 kills coming into the match tonight. So you can see a lot of talent on this York team.
Yeah, I was talking to the assistant coach of the Knights before the match, and she was one of the players, number 10, one of the players to watch for York. There she is again.
She's got a good mix up there, and she was able to fool Hannah Allred. Allred thought she reached that ball, but the referees say otherwise.
Yeah.
And York is starting to pull away here in set one.
Yeah, it sure looked like she did get a hand on underneath that ball, but it's hard to tell from this angle, but it looked like it was up.
So now the Knights have to get to work as Tiggs tips it over.
Oh, it looks
Couldn't
like
get it over.
that ball hit the antenna, I think, on the way over, so that's out of bounds.
And so York starting to really mount a charge here in set one.
Yeah, not a good start for the Knights and a very good start for York.
Knights were hoping to send a message early here in set one, but so far it's been the York Spartans dominating set one. Good block. Another point, though, for the Spartans, and how soon before the Knights might take a timeout here in set one?
Yeah, just to settle down. And it's something that the Knights haven't seen for a while, is a lefty on the right side of the court, and now it's 8-2.
Knights are quickly down by 6. They need a big point here, and that one's blocked out of bounds for a point for the Knights. And we'll see if the Knights can take advantage of Tiggs' kill there, as Hoteling will check in to replace Tiggs, and it'll be Claire Hoteling with the serve here. And the Knights have 2 matches tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning against Penn State Harrisburg. That is a conference matchup, followed by 3 p.m. against Bridgewater, non-conference there. Good block by the Knights, but it's blocked out of bounds, and yet another point for the York Spartans.
Now, number 12, that's the other player that we were made aware of, that she has a powerful arm, as you can see by that swing on the outside.
Yeah, she's got 160 kills coming in, so she's second on the team. Brooke Krebs is. The actual leader in kills coming into the game today was Madison Whitcomb, and she's number 13.
This looks like a good rotation, even for York in this particular place, or in this rotation. Number 12 on the outside. She has all 3 rotations left.
Miss hit there by Hannah Allred.
Looks like they called the ball out of bounds and no touch by the Knights, so point Knights.
Knights get a big break there, and we'll see if they can take advantage of it with Gwynn serving.
4-9.
And the Knights really need 3 or 4 in a row here. Nice low serve by Penny.
Wow.
They called, what, carrying the ball?
Yeah, it looked like there was a lift on the setter, or a double on the setter, they called.
9-5. So the Knights have 2 in a row now. We'll see if they can keep it going.
But that's interesting. They also have another left-handed hitter for York on the left side now.
Hoteling got a dig there, but it quickly came back down, and no one was ready for it. Now it's 10-5.
Yeah, the Knights need to make a run here.
And a service error will help Southern Virginia's cause, 10-6. That's 2 service errors, I believe, here for York in this opening set.
Yeah, that certainly does help when someone gives you a ball. When you haven't scored a few points or someone else is on a run and they miss their serve, it sure helps.
Haley Lonis will now serve. Haley had a big match against Frostburg. She was one of the keys to that victory last weekend. Good tip there. Crockett sets up Allred, and she buries it.
Very nice play. That ball was passed very low and quick to the setter, Crockett, and Crockett able to athletically just put the ball outside, and so it was hard on the block to get outside to block Allred.
And, of course, Laree was able to receive capital honors this week, Player of the Week.
Oh, what a great honor for her.
Good dig there by Hannah Allred. Lonis will tip it over into the corner. Good save there by the York Spartans. They get it back across, and Lonis wasn't ready for it.
You know, I think it's worth saying that the Knights, this is the 3rd week in a row that they've had a player of the conference, player of the week. That's quite the honor, 3 times in a row.
Knights trail, though, here, 11-7. Good low serve that time. They set up Allred. She is blocked to the net, though. Went over to Lindsay Heyer on the right side. Gwynn to Crockett. The Heyer. And now York will give it a try. And a saved by Knight, but couldn't really bring it down. Another point for the York Spartans.
Yeah, again, York has two left-handed players on their side, and both of them able to at times hit on the left side of on the right side of the court, and that's a good advantage.
They try Allred on the left side for the Knights, and she was able to find a little opening for the point.
Yeah, a little shaky start here for the Knights, where the sets are kind of inside the court a little bit, so it usually is in front of a blocker right now. The Knights need to settle down and have some better ball control so that the Crockett can just get the ball easily to a hitter.
You know, Tom, the way the Knights have played, if they can make a comeback, and that's 2 points in a row here for Southern Virginia, but if they can come back and win this first set, that would be a lot of confidence because they haven't played particularly well, and York's actually played pretty well except for a couple of service errors, and yet the Knights are right there.
Yep, 12-9. And serving. Another good serve.
Way over. Not a good set there on that attempted kill by York, and the Knights have climbed back within 2, and all this without the need of taking that timeout we mentioned a few minutes ago.
Yeah, the coach always knows best, I'll say. And, yeah, she knows her team that they're coming back.
Another miss hit by the York Spartans, but somehow they got that back across. I didn't think there was any chance of that. Now the Knights will set up Gwynbo. I think we've got a double hit on Heyer. And
well,
that turns out to be a point for the York Spartans.
Yeah, I think that was on Crockett for the set. It was just she was in an awkward position when the pass went just awry.
And when that ball went way over on the sidelines, never would have imagined York would have got that point.
Yeah, you know, that's an advantage, again, of having a left-handed player over there able to make that angle, put it in the court.
Knight to Crockett. They try Tiggs. And she was able to squeeze it in.
Now that's another play that we haven't seen for a while from the Knights, where left-handed player Teagues comes inside the court and hits it on the left side or the outside of the setter on the on-hand side. Very good play.
Had a good serve there. It's 13-11. And that one is going to be out. And now suddenly the Knights have climbed to within 1. Remember, they were down 8-2 in this first set.
Now, did we just see, I think, number 14 for York? That's another left-handed player. That's their third left-handed player.
Great serve by Hannah Allred.
Yeah, 13 all.
She squeezed it in. It looked like York thought it was going out, but it stayed in. See if the Knights can keep this string going. That one might have been deep, but it was returned by York. Ooh, great dig there by Hannah Allred off the net. Gwynn buries it. Knights have their first lead of this set.
Gwynn showing some power there. Good approach and a big hammer. Gwynn has a good arm. She has that ability to hit that ball
fast. See if the Knights
fast.
can keep this going, and if they do, will York call a timeout to settle the Knights down a little bit? And there's a kill for the York Spartans to even it back up.
Yeah, I think it takes a little while to get used to the angles that left-handed players hit. That was an example of that. The Knights looking around saying, oh, where did that ball come from?
And is that something you have to wait till in between sets to really make adjustments for?
No, I think you make it during the set as you play. It's just you just don't normally see that kind of an angle. You're used to a right-handed player.
Crockett sets up Tiggs, and the Knights get the point to take the lead back.
Yeah, the Knights are countering with their own left-handed player on the right side of the court.
Lonis checks back in for the Knights. I know it's just the first set and just one set, but considering the way the Knights were losing 8-2, considering the way they have gone here in the last few points, they got to feel pretty good about things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tied once again, 15 all. And again, is that number 10 or number?
That's McKinley Knight with the serve. Good serve there again by
I'm not
McKinley.
sure what that call was. Oh, they let that go.
Lonis almost got the kill. Knights go for the block. And they get the point. That was Tiggs. So now the Knights have 17 on the board.
Yeah, 14-17 or 17-14. You usually say the score of the serving team first. It's not always that way.
So it's a 17-14 lead. Timeout is taken. York trying to settle the Knights down because after they trailed 8-2, The Knights have now outscored York 15-6.
Yeah, Teague's a big part of what's going on right now. Left-handed player for the Knights, hitting a bunch of balls on the right side of the court and showing that she has some power herself.
Well, it's going to be a busy sports weekend, as we mentioned. Actually, football is not in action this weekend. They are off. They'll be playing their next game at Salisbury coming up next Saturday, October the 21st at 1 p.m. on the road at Salisbury. But coming up tomorrow, as we mentioned, at 11 o'clock in the morning, we'll have women's volleyball for you as the Knights get ready to take on Penn State Harrisburg tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. They'll also be taking on Bridgewater non-conference action Saturday at 3 o'clock. We will not broadcast that game, but we do have soccer coming up for you on Saturday afternoon. Men's soccer taking on St. Mary's at 5 p.m. Women's soccer will be also facing St. Mary's at 3 o'clock. Women's soccer now has won a couple of big conference games. The Knights are now 2-3 in the conference, and Tom Wright in the thick of things as far as trying to make the Capital Conference tournament in women's soccer.
Oh, that's wonderful for the Knights. The Knights, all the sports are just contributing a lot right now and starting to win.
And women's volleyball, the crowd starting to filter into this match here, Tom, and kind of the excitement that the women have had is reminiscent of what you guys had a little earlier this year in men's volleyball.
Yeah, the crowd especially. I was wondering, this started at 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m., and I wasn't sure how that would affect the crowd.
All red to Crockett. They go over to Tiggs with a little tip, and York could not return it.
18-14.
Knights trying to maintain this advantage and take set one after they trailed early 8-2.
You know, I think it's worth saying at this point, too, that Crockett, the setter for the Knights, was nominated for National Player of the Week.
What a block by Haley Alonis.
So Laree Crockett nominated for National Player of the Week. She had 5 assists per set. And 51 total assists and 15 digs in her last match. So nominated for Player of the Week.
Good dig there by Tiggs. Crockett will set up Gwynn. Little tip. Good dig there by Crockett. Knight will set it up Tiggs. And now the York Spartans will go back over. And a good block again by Haley Alonis.
That was a very good block.
And it makes you wonder if Lonis and the other Knights are starting to figure out York's left-handers.
That was I was just going to say. Lonis way inside the court, and that's how you block a left-handed player, is way inside the court. That's the angle.
Knights trying to maintain this advantage. Good dig there by Crockett. Knight over to Gwynn. And the Knights will get that point.
Wow, how many in a row is that? 21-14.
I believe it was, that might be 5 or 6 in a row. Remember, the Knights trailed here 8-2, so they have now outscored York 19-6. What a turnaround.
Yeah, that is a big turnaround. I imagine it's surprising to York how well the Knights are now playing.
And it got to the point where we were thinking about, okay, they're going to call a timeout to try to settle York down. They did not. The Knights got a couple of points here, a couple of points there. They climbed back in. They eventually tied it. And now they have gone off on a 21-14 lead. And York, with this timeout, are they talking so much about trying to figure out a way to make a big comeback here in set one, or just try to settle the momentum down for the rest of the match?
Yeah, obviously you would like to come back in this game, but the momentum, how to turn the momentum around right now, the Knights, we've often talked about momentum. Right now it's all with the Knights, and that's very, very important.
Well, Laree Crockett, as you mentioned, she has just done a tremendous job here for the Knights this season, getting a lot of capital honors and national honors. And she's averaging, I believe, like 10 assists per set.
Yeah, I said 5. I had the wrong number. That was 51 total assists in her last match.
And Crockett with the setup there for Allred over to Gwynn. And somehow the Spartans were able to return that, blocked again by the Knights. That was Lonis and Tiggs. Might have been mostly Tiggs, couldn't tell.
That was just a wonderful hit by Gwynn, but just a digger happened to be right in the way. But a 1-foot takeoff, she had to hurry and get it. What a good hit.
Good serve by McKinley Knight. York gets it back over. Knights trying to keep it going here. Crockett will set up Gwynn, and she fires it home.
Wow, Gwynn on fire now.
Unstoppable. Now the Knights just need 2 more points for a set 1 victory. And who would have thought that the Knights would have made this kind of comeback when they trailed 8-2?
Oh, good serve.
That almost looked like that was carried by the first York Spartan. There's Lotus with a little tip. And now it'll be Crockett. She'll set up Tiggs. York suddenly able to get it back across. They'll go to Gwynn, and she fired low into the net.
Yeah, a little too hungry on that one. Gwynn smiling after that one. She tried to hit it a little too hard without an approach.
That's the other key for the women's volleyball team. Much like the men's volleyball team that you operate, not only are they successful, but they just seem like they're having fun out there.
Oh, the team cohesion this year for the Knights is really, really good, and that's a big part of winning.
Gwynn off balance. Really couldn't get a shot there. And York has been able to connect for a couple of points in a row now.
Yeah, 23-16.
Might still need 2 more points to wrap up this first set. Gwynn, awkward there, over to Allred. Now back to Gwynn. And she finds the opening on the court.
Wow. So she did everything. She passed it. She had to run way over to the left side, and then she had to go get an inside set and had to roll it into where there was open court. Good play by Gwynn.
Now Claire Hoteling will serve as the Knights have set point. Blocked again by the Knights.
Wow. That's a dominating, well, I don't know, the last half of that set was very dominating by the Knights.
25-16.
Correct, 25-16.
Again, the Knights trailed at 8-2, so they actually outscored the Spartans 23-8.
Wow.
What a turnaround.
It is a big turnaround. And now the momentum, obviously, is with the Knights, and that's big. So we'll see how this next game comes out. There's only 3 minutes in between games or in between sets.
Except for set 2 and set 3.
Yeah.
Kind of like halftime, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So between set 2 and set 3, that's always kind of an interesting thing for a coach. If you're up, you don't want to have that long timeout, but if you're the team that's behind, it can give you a little bit of a break to get going again.
Well, if the Knights can come through in set 2 and set 3 like they did in set 1 and win this match tonight and keep it going tomorrow, they would be 5-0 in the conference. Again, they got Christopher Newport, though, coming up next weekend. And when you look, generally speaking, Tom, I don't know if you can speak to this point, but when you, generally speaking, play on a Friday and a Saturday on the road in back-to-back matches, if you're the coach, are you actually going to be maybe fresher for that first match on a Friday, or do you prefer actually Christopher Newport will be on a Friday, and then they'll be playing, I think, Mary Washington on a Saturday. Does it actually help them to play CNU on the opening day of a doubleheader match back-to-back days, or would they prefer to play them, I guess, on Saturday maybe?
Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag, to be very honest. As far as being fresh physically, it is better to play on a Friday, the first match. Yep. The second match can be a little bit wearing, especially if you had a tough match the night before.
Like tomorrow, Penn State Harrisburg. Again, it's 11 o'clock start for them tomorrow morning.
Yeah, the second match tomorrow is against a very good team, and so that's 3 matches in less than 24 hours. That's a lot.
And let's talk about that a little bit, too, really quick before we get the second set underway. When we talk about these non-conference matches, a lot of people say, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. Good tune-up, good practice. But if you're thinking about down the road, let's say Christopher Newport wins the regular season and wins the Capital Tournament, and the Knights were to finish second in the regular season and second in the tournament, then you start thinking about maybe an at-large spot, especially if you've won maybe 22 or 23 matches on the season, and at a large spot in the Division III tournament, which would obviously be big news for Knights Athletics to make the Division III tournament. And then you start thinking about, okay, how important are those non-conference match victories or losses going to be?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I'm not sure that you can lose more than 1 or 2 matches non-conference and expect to be in the top 25. And that's what gets you to the national tournament. It's a committee that selects, after the automatic qualifiers are done, a committee selects who else is going. Traditionally, I think the conference has taken more than 1, at least 2 to the tournament, the NCAA tournament. But if you lose and you're, like, say, tied for second or you're in third place, then you're kind of out of luck unless you've
And this would be another
won
reason.
all those other matches.
This would be another reason tonight's match is huge. Again, when you talk about maybe teams in the conference with good overall records, York 16-5, Knights 14-4. Who knows? Maybe an at-large spot could come down to these two teams.
Absolutely.
But the Knights could win head-to-head tonight. That would be a big point in their favor.
Yeah, in fact, that's how the committee would look at it, who won head-to-head. If they only play, it's only a single round robin in conference, and that would determine it.
See if the Knights can get going here in set two like they wrapped up set one. They won the first set 25-16, and York able to claim the first point of set two.
Yeah, York is a good team, and they have some arms, I call them, just meaning that somebody can hit the ball hard and fast. So if they can get the ball consistently to somebody that can hit hard or has an arm, they have a good shot of winning.
And it doesn't look like they rely on any one or two players as that serve goes long. That's as far as kills are concerned.
Exactly.
So we're all even at one here in set two, and McKinley Knight will now serve. And that one's going to be long.
Oh, that's three in a row out of bounds. Now Haley Lonis is in the front row. That's the middle blocker for the Knights. She had 16 kills this last match. Their last match against Frostburg. That's her season high. Let's see how she does tonight.
Yeah, she did a tremendous job against Frostburg. Good dig there by the Spartans. It'll be Crockett setting up Gwynn. That ball is out. It was a good return, a good block and return by York, but it spun out of bounds, luckily for the Knights.
Yeah, just barely wide. Good block, but a better hit, I guess you'd have to say.
So Claire Hoteling will check in for the serve as this is all even at two here in set two. Little tip there. Knights are able to get on top of that. And Gwynn Knights really starting to handle those left-handers for York.
Yeah.
And the Knights have their first lead here in set two.
Yeah, as a blocking team, I don't know if you could tell where those balls were set. Those last few balls were kind of past the antenna, so the only shot the hitter had, the only attempt that they could make was cross-court. And if you don't dig cross-court or block cross-court, then it's a kill.
Tough service error there for the Knights. They were hoping to go on a little run.
That's 4 out of the first 6 points that are missed serves.
So we're all even at 3. Knights trying to figure out a way to pull away here in set two.
There's a good pass.
And Lonis had her shot blocked. Allred with a dig. They go to Gwynn and a little tip. Knights right there for the block and get the point.
Yeah, number 12 for York. She has a good arm, as I say.
Only 5'8" though. So
but yeah,
really comes
she's
into
a little
play.
bit short. So unless she has this big, long approach, it's a little bit harder for shorter players to get up in the air if they don't have a good approach.
Because on that block, it looked like the Knights were really easily able to block that shot.
Right.
They go to Gwynn. And now the Spartans will go over to the right side, to the lefty. And it'll be a little tip over.
But out of bounds.
Out of bounds. The right idea, just a little too strong.
So 4-4.
And so now the Spartans will go ahead and serve here. And coming in to serve for the Spartans will be Molly McCann. She has 250 assists entering this match tonight. Leads York in assists. And they go to Lonis again. Now it'll be Allred. And now who will the Knights set up here? Oh, Crockett with a little nifty maneuver there.
That's called a setter's dump. So when it looks like maybe the setter should be setting a hitter and the blockers kind of anticipate that. If the setter can dump it right to the middle of the court, usually doesn't always have to be the middle, but just York surprising the block.
Was probably asking the same question I just asked, who will they go to now? And they didn't go to anybody.
That's right.
Good block there by the Knights as they try to get a few points in a row here. They go to Allred. Good dig there on the block by York, and Gwynn not able to return that one. So this set two, point for point, back and forth.
Yeah, interesting substitutions by York. They have more than one setter. And they have left-handed players galore.
It'll be all red. Good dig by the York Spartans to keep that one from going down. McKinley Knight. All red again. We'll give it a chance, and it's back. Crockett setting up Gwynn, and couldn't get it over the net.
Yeah, now that's a deep court set. Most people just call it a deep court swing. And that's when the back row person can hit it, but they have to hit it from behind the 10-foot line.
Service error on the York Spartans as Brooke Krebs went too deep.
6-all.
So we're 6-6. The first set, the Knights won 25-16 after trailing 8-2. The Knights are trying to find a way to get 2 or 3 in a row here in set 2 to take a lead. Good dig there by McKinley Knight over to Crockett. Now it'll be Tiggs. Spartans got it back across. Knights with the block. That was Hannah Allred, although higher was one side.
If there's a way that you at home can replay that one's worth replaying. That was a great block by Allred.
And it seems like that is really one of the strong parts of the match so far here is the Knights' ability to block at the net. And obviously maybe their weak area so far here in the first 2 sets, Tom, might be service errors.
Yeah, that's another service error. How many is that? Is that like 5 at least from both teams? Counting both teams.
And those service errors really make it difficult to go on a run, obviously.
Yeah.
Knight over to Tiggs, and she wasn't able to get to it.
Yeah. I think it's good to note that every team has a system of when the setter actually digs a ball and can't set the ball, so they're involved in the first contact and not the second. Who's going to set that next ball? The Knights have a system where they always that's another misserve, but a hard misserve.
That was Cheyenne Altland hitting into the back of the head of Hannah Saritis. So that was a service error that was painful to your own team.
But anytime that Laurie Crockett can't set the ball, the Knights would like the libero to set the ball, and that's McKinley Knight.
Good play there by the Spartans to get it back across. Tiggs almost got the kill to go. Little tip, all red.
Crockett. Oh, nice reverse flow.
And went over to Tiggs. Left-handed shot there by the York Spartans. They try Gwynn, and they get the point.
Nice play. I used the words reverse flow. Reverse flow is when it looks like the setter's going one way and then sets the ball a different way, or the teams are making an approach. The hitters are all on one side. So somehow you create motion one way, and then the ball goes to the other side of the court.
Another good block by the Knights at the net. And another block by Southern Virginia.
Wow.
That one just barely got over for York. They go to Gwynn. Tough block there by the York Spartans. Now Knight will go to Crockett and over to Gwynn, and it's blocked out of bounds, and the Knights have their 10th point.
10-8. Good play by the Knights. In fact, that set right there was a very, very low set. And I think that's what has changed in volleyball in the last 15 years. The biggest improvement has been how fast the ball gets out of the setter's hands. A faster offense, we would just call it.
Knights not able to get that back over as Heyer struggled with her kill.
Someone called that ball down. And no argument. Must have been on the floor.
10-9 now. Spartans trying to battle back. Knights trying to take set 2 after they won the first set 25-16. Gwynn almost wasn't ready for that serve.
And there's another reverse flow.
Tiggs, what a great play.
That's a great example of reverse flow. The blockers were anticipating the ball going to the left side of the court, but the ball went back to the left-handed Tiggs, who was able to be like one on no one and hit the ball hard.
So now the Knights are on top here 11-9 with McKinley Knight serving. Good dig by McKinley. Gwynn Spartans somehow able to get it across, but out of bounds.
Yeah, as McKinley Knight made that dig, it's worth talking about McKinley, that she has now moved up into the conference in the top. I'm not sure if it's the top 3 or something in the conference in digging.
Yep.
And if she were to just take her stats that she has had the last 5 matches, she'd probably be number 1 in terms of number of digs per set. But at least she's moving up into the conference, the top players of the conference right now. She's really improved.
Yeah, she's averaging, it says here, almost 4.5 digs per set.
And I think that comes from some lower numbers at the beginning of the season. I think she's averaging 7 or 8 now digs a set, and that would be number 1 in the conference.
Well, I know the York is trying to settle its team down and use this timeout to try to climb back into this set 2, but Knights probably wouldn't mind having a timeout right around now to catch their breath, even though they want to keep this momentum going.
Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of balls that were some longer rallies, and you catch your breath. You're exactly right. It's 12-9, so that's kind of an early timeout by York, but they can feel the momentum switching to the Knights.
Yeah, and like anything else, in any best-of-5 set, our best-of-5 match where you are on top after 2 sets 2-0, you wonder if the York goes on to lose this second set after a deflating loss in set 1, what they might have left in the tank for the remaining sets as the Knights get yet another block at the net.
Yeah. We've talked about this more than a few times, that the second set seems to be one of the more important sets of the match. Even if you win the first game and you lose the second set, I should say, instead of game,
yep.
It doesn't mean hardly as much, but that second match, or the second set, is a very important set.
Tiggs got it in. What a kill by Tiggs.
I really like what Crockett is doing right now, the setter for the Knights. She is mixing it up, and she's finding who's the hot hitter. She's finding the hot hitter. Sometimes it's Teague, sometimes it's Gwynn, and sometimes Allred.
Now it'll be over to Gwynn. And Gwynn tips it over. It was in no man's land for the Spartans, and Gwynn right there for the easy shot.
Now it's kind of, this is a place where the York really has to get some points right now, or the set's gonna get away from them. 15-9.
Good dig there by Hannah Allred. Now Crockett will go to Lonis, and she'll get the point. As the Spartans, how did they almost got it back over? Great job by York. Yeah. I didn't think there was any chance they could get that one back over, and they almost did.
Yeah, I think the crowd gave up on that, and then, here it comes. Almost in.
So now McKinley Knight serves again. Good serve by McKinley. And that time York with the little push over.
Now, if you look at York, they're setting what we call a 6-2, which means that the setter comes from the back row every time, and they substitute. When the setter goes to the front row, they substitute a front row player in, and another setter starts in the back row, subs in. That means that the setter.
Oh, Gwynn.
Oh, man.
Unstoppable.
Just another great hit by Gwynn. But because of that, the setter is always in the back row. They can't jump up and try to save a ball without being over the net, and you can't hit the ball in the front row, but you can barely set it over like that ball.
Tailing will serve. She's had a few service errors. That one is going to be returnable by York. Blocked again, but it's out of bounds this time. It almost seems like with York, when they're attempting to go for kills, they've had so many blocked by the Knights that they're not even trying with the hard blocks or the hard kills. They're just trying to launch it over and maybe find an opening in the middle.
I think you're right. A good block really can alter a good hitter's shot.
Well, you just wonder if that gets into their heads a little bit about all these blocks that the Knights have been performing.
Yep, absolutely.
And York able to get that over. Now who will the Knights go to? It'll be Crockett over to Gwynn. It was a tough set for her.
Yeah, good play by York.
Almost looked like that set by Crockett for Gwynn was a little bit behind her.
Yep. I think it's worth noting that the Knights are not leading in the conference, one of the big leaders in blocking, which is interesting. As
Gwynn
hits it again.
And a miscommunication as Crockett kind of shied away from that ball, and now York's on a bit of a run here after it seemed like the Knights were in control.
17-13. But somehow the Knights are one of the leaders in the conference, maybe the top in the conference, of keeping the other hitting percentage, the other team's hitting percentage down.
Win. We'll get that point.
Now, I'm not sure if that makes sense, what I said, but the other team has a lower hitting percentage.
Yep.
And the Knights are also one of the top teams in the conference with their own hitting percentage. So that combination is great.
And the Knights are trying to go on a little run here after they've reached point 18 in set 2.
Good up.
Hoteling will pop it over. And now it'll be the Spartans. Good dig there by Claire. Over to Allred, and she gets the point.
Good play again by the Knights. They have the good ball control going for them right now, 19-13.
Knights again came in with a record of 14-4. They've won 10 straight matches since losing to Washington Lee. And a service ace by Hoteling. Everything seems to be going right, or make that Gwynn. Penny Gwynn with the service ace. Another timeout taken by York as the Knights have now reached 20. They're 5 points away from picking up set number 2.
Yeah, that's kind of disheartening. That's when you had to make a comeback, and if the ball rolls over the net like that, there's no defense for that.
Well, we mentioned football not in action this weekend. They have the weekend off. They'll be playing at Salisbury next Saturday. But tomorrow, a full day of sports. We've got women's volleyball against Penn State Harrisburg tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. We will webcast that for you. And we will not be webcasting the non-conference match at 3 p.m. against Bridgewater, but we will webcast the soccer games tomorrow. Women's soccer, 5-7-1 of the season, 2-3 in the conference. 3 p.m. against St. Mary's, followed by men's soccer against St. Mary's. And men's soccer right now 1-4 in the Capital Conference, so they really need a win tomorrow to try to stay in the chase for the Capital Conference tournament. Here are the Knights trying to put the finishing touches on a set 2 victory. That would give them a 2-0 lead, Tom, in sets, and leave them needing just one more set in this best-of-5 match. And if they can win it, that would be 11 straight matches, and they would also go to 4-0 in the conference and 15-4 in the season, and keep this ship headed in the right direction, ideally to the Capital Conference Championship and maybe to the Division III tournament.
Boy, if you're coaching the team, you don't want to make a lot of predictions.
Oh,
yeah. But I'm sure, get to.
Yeah, and another block by the Knights that leads to a point. Yeah, I'm sure the coaches, the last thing they want to talk about is the Division III tournament. The only thing probably Coach Gwynn's thinking about, obviously, is this set and the set to follow it.
Yeah, we get to make that prognostication, yeah.
But it's just great to see the Knights being, maybe under discussion as Allred with another kill, to have the serious discussion about maybe being in the top 25 and maybe being in the Division III tournament.
Boy, wouldn't that be fun for the Knights. Gwynn, nice server, as we all know.
There's a dig. Crockett over to Allred, and she picks up another point.
The Lions person called that ball in bounds. Let's see what... Yeah, the referee's going to agree. That ball was very close to going out of bounds on the sideline, but another point for the Knights.
Knights just need 2 more points now. And Allred puts it away.
That's like 3 in a row, overpasses that someone. So 24-13, set point.
Wow, it's amazing the way this set 2 has just gotten away from York. Here's Gwynn with set point. Good dig there by Penny Gwynn. Over to Allred. And York able to get that point.
Yeah, you've got to cover your hitter on that. In fact, Allred kind of had a set that was very tight, and she tried to wipe it almost. I call them a wipe, where you push the ball into the block with your hand, and you just have to have somebody there. That was an easy cover for someone.
So it's 24-14. See if the Knights can put it away right here with Allred. Is blocked, though, by York. Spartans just trying to hang on here in set 2.
Yep, 24-15. Just need one play for set point.
And Knight had a tough set there. Crockett will set up Allred. And now it'll be Knight Over to Gwynn.
Back row swing.
York hits it out, and the Knights win 25-15.
Wow.
So, 2 sets now have gone the way of the Knights, Tom. 25-16 in set 1, 25-15 in set 2. In both those sets, at least early on, York was very competitive. In set 1, they were leading 8-2, and that set 2 started out back and forth, but somehow in the latter stages of each set, the Knights not only were able to take control, but they were able to pull away.
Yeah, since the second half of the first set, I think the Knights have been playing very, very well. York is not a bad team at all, and the Knights right now are just playing so well that it makes the York look a little tentative, which I'm sure that they're not as tentative as what the Knights are making them look like.
So we'll see if the Knights can keep it going in set 3. We're in between set 2 and set 3 with the Knights on top here. They've won the first 2 sets. They'll try to close York out in set 3. We're going to take a little break here from the Knights Sports Arena. Welcome back to the Night Sports Arena. Jim Bresnahan along with Coach Tom Peterson, the men's volleyball coach, as we bring you women's volleyball tonight from the Night Sports Arena. And it is Southern Virginia on top of York, 2-0. The Knights won the first set 25-16. They took set 2 25-15 as the Knights are trying to go for their 11th straight match victory. And they're also trying to improve to a record of 4-0 in the conference and 15-4 overall in the season. Coach, we've got the numbers through 2 sets. What really leaps out at you?
Well, the hitting percentage for both teams. We said earlier that the Knights right now are climbing up, even in the statistics in the country, they're in the top 50 for keeping the other team to a low hitting percentage, and they're also in the top 50 for their own higher hitting percentage. So for this particular match, the Knights are hitting 219, 219, and they're keeping the opponent to 0. So
wow.
that really sticks out.
And you just wonder what York talked about in between the second and third set, what they've got left in the tank to win this match. They'd have to win, obviously, at set 3, set 4, set 5. The Knights are obviously hoping to close this out in set 3, if for no other reason, Tom. They've got another match coming up tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. They'd like to wrap this one up in 3 sets, I'm sure, and maybe get out of here and get some sleep.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right with that. Get in and get out as fast as possible. 2 matches tomorrow, that's a lot. So don't go any more sets than you have to, not right now.
And right off the bat, the Knights went for the kill with Heyer. Now they'll go over to Gwynn. Got the net to assist on that kill attempt. Gwynn to Crockett. Over to Tiggs. Now Crockett will go to Heyer. And somehow the Spartans are able to return this. Nice long point here. Crockett over to Allred, and she gets the point.
Now that ball, that set right there was in the inside set, but that was on purpose. Our team, and I think the women's team calls that a jiba. There was a guy named Jiba that played for Brazil that made that a famous play, an inside set hitting it inside the blocker.
And a miss hit by York to make it 2-0 Knights. And you wonder if this gets out of control for York here, and the Knights are trying to obviously get off to a good start here in set 3. If York might start to unravel a little bit.
Yeah, that looked like that passer now is out of the rotation, so they're not having her pass again.
Oh, there's another service ace thanks to the net for Hannah Allred, who makes it a 3-0 start.
Wow, when things go well, it's great.
See if the Knights can keep this going. Allred, nice long serve that curved a little bit.
Yeah, that's number 10 hitting the ball on the left side, and she's a left-handed player. And for a left-handed player to hit it down the line on that left side is hard.
Erin Bradley, she had 5 kills through the first 2 sets. That one just couldn't make it over, so a service error by the Knights.
Yeah, Hannah would like to have that one back, I'm sure. When you're on a row, you don't want to stop yourself.
Yeah, you'd love to get to 7 or 8, if for another reason. That gives you a nice big cushion to work with.
Yeah.
Even though it's very early in set 3. Heyer with a good kill. Miss by McKinley Knight, a rare error for her.
Yep, that's exactly right. She would like to have that one back as well.
So now 4-2.
Now Heyer looks like she's getting the ball connecting just a little bit better. If she continues to improve, that will help the Knights in that particular position, the second middle blocker.
That one's too strong by Gwynn. Interesting that Heyer's getting a lot more playing time tonight and not Lonis.
Yeah.
Lonis had that fantastic match against Frostburg on the road last Saturday.
Now Heyer and Lonis are opposite each other, so they're both in the match. But I think you're right tonight.
Here comes Lonis
Heyer has more sets than Lonis does. 5-3.
Now we haven't seen Lonis serving tonight. Of course, now she's got, I think you mentioned this earlier in the season, that she's got the make it or break it serve.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes, and you'd like to get the other players, when they're playing well, get them in the game as well. And serving's one way to do it.
So the Knights have their 6 point with now McKinley Knight serving.
Yeah, Lonis is in the match now.
Knights go for the block. Good dig there by Crockett, but she went a little too far on it.
Yeah, that's a good swing down the line. The Knights lining up cross court, and the hitter hit it more down the line that time.
First two sets, even though the Knights were able to pull away 25-16 and 25-15, they were pretty close in the opening moments of each set, as that's going to be a service error by the York Spartans. That was a problem for them through the first two sets. They had, let's see,
was it 5?
I believe, 5 service errors through the first two sets.
Yeah, 7-4.
No tailing, serving for the Knights. Good block by Gwynn.
Oh, wow. They let that go. Oh, no, he didn't. He called that a double or a lift.
And so the Knights have their 8th point. Maybe a few more points, Tommy. We might see a York timeout. They can't fool around here in set 3.
That's exactly right.
Good dig by McKinley Knight over to Gwynn, and then another point for Southern Virginia.
Boy, the Knights are so strong. The two outside hitters, Gwynn and Allred on the left side, and Teagues when she's on the right side. That's just a powerful, a lot of production out of those 3 players.
Well, there's a block by Lonis. Knights have another point. They're 10th.
Yeah, it's a ball handling error, it's called, when you lift a ball like that. So 10-4.
I don't know if there's one key factor tonight for the Knights that is could lead to a match victory, but I would think blocking would be right up there.
Yeah, and it's very interesting for the Knights. It appears to us up here looking on down that the Knights are in a better position to block most often than York is, but they don't have that many more blocks. But what I think it does, it directs the ball either to a digger or makes the hitter alter their shot enough that it's just an easier play.
And it just seems like, especially after that first set, that they're pretty much in York's head as far as kill attempts are concerned.
Yeah, the hitting percentage for York, of course, is just not very good right now, and I'm sure that's a big part of it. 11-4 is the score.
Nice cushion there for the Knights to work with here in set 3. Again, if they win this third set, they've won the match, then they'll extend their winning streak, but just as importantly, they'll go to 4-0 in the conference with Penn State Harrisburg coming up tomorrow. If they win that, they'd go to 5-0 in the conference. CNU is 5-0, and of course next Friday they visit Christopher Newport University. That would be a big road match for the Knights on the next Friday.
Yeah.
On the 20th, and that'll be followed up by another road match on Saturday the 21st at Mary Washington.
Yeah, not to look too far ahead, but I think the CNU match is a huge match for the Knights. If they can win that one, they should be in the top 25, I think.
I would think. Again, at least the others receiving votes. But I know they'd love to be in the top 25 with all the great work they've done this season.
That's right.
And Lonis blocked there by York. Over to Gwynn. Spartans trying to get it back across here. Good block by Lonis. Allred with a great save. They go to Gwynn again.
Oh, good play by York, too.
Knights really active at the net. Here is Gwynn with a little tip. And the Spartans a little out of control. Good block by Lonis and also by Crockett. Allred will give it a launch. Nice long point here. Knights still battling. Gwynn gets the point. That point right there was so long, you wonder what York is going to have left emotionally after losing that point.
Both teams getting up just a little slow off the ground, but when you win a long rally like that, it's a real boost.
Here's where the Knights really want to keep pulling away to try to make short work of York here in this third set. They really not only want to win in 3 sets, Tom, but they probably want to get out of here as quickly as possible and get ready for that 2 matches tomorrow. Again, 11 o'clock in the morning against Penn State Harrisburg, 3 p.m. against Bridgewater. Harrisburg is conference, Bridgewater non-conference.
Yeah, so far so good in this set for the Knights, 13-4.
Great dig there by Crockett, and Lonis launching it back across. And that one's going to be out for York. And now York, as we talked about, starting to unravel just a bit here in this third set.
Yeah, you could tell the frustration on number 12 there for York, trying to hit it away from the block, so hitting it down the line, but just missing very wide, actually, that time.
Tailing, serving. Another block by Lonis.
That is, That is disheartening now. Now it's 15-4, and you've been blocked a bunch of times. I don't know if they only have one timeout left, or do they
I think they've got one left. And at this point, though, the Knights are just on too much of a roll for York, and the Spartans somehow got that back across. They seem like they're totally disconcerted right now. The Knights will pick up the point. I think they called a lift.
Yep, they
or
did.
Double hit.
Wow, 16-4.
You know, you go back to that first set, it was 8-2 York, and it just seemed like they, with the left-handers, had Southern Virginia reeling a little bit. It's just remarkable the way this match has turned around since then.
Yeah, and if you always knew the reasons for this or that, you'd have a lot of money. But it sure did seem like the Knights just adjusted so well to the left-handed hitting.
And as you mentioned, you didn't have to wait until the end of set one to make those adjustments. They just make them in the set themselves.
Right.
So York picks up a point, but right now they have a huge mountain to overcome to try to stay in this match. As Gwynn puts it away. 17 points, 8 to go.
Finds the hole in between the blockers. Gwynn right now, you know, when you're on a roll as a hitter, it seems like you see things easier. And you could tell that Gwynn was just going to hit it right in the middle of the blockers. It's not angle, not line, but right where the blockers, the hands weren't.
That one's going to be out.
Oh,
Knights
good
pick up their 18th point.
McKinley Knight letting that one go. And when you're a good libero, you know within a foot where that ball is going to land, and that was just out.
Another timeout taken by York. What can you possibly say, though, with this huge disadvantage for the York Spartans, not only down 2-0 in sets, but down big time here in set three?
Yeah, this is a hard timeout for most any coach. A coach at this time, how do you fire up your team? Do you yell at them? Do you kind of plead with them? Do you put in other players? It's a hard timeout.
Remember, York came into this match today 2-0 in the conference, 16-5 on the season, and they had high hopes, just like the Knights did, to stay undefeated in the conference and also, keep adding on total victories in case they were looking at maybe an at-large bid down the road. But it's been the Knights with a dominating performance.
Yeah, it's not just a win; it's a big win, dominating win for the Knights. So that has to say something to someone. And especially if the Knights go on to win their next few matches, they're going to be in contention for some national recognition.
Like I say, even if you don't ever get into the top 25, you make the national tournament, that's really saying something.
Oh, absolutely. That's what everyone wants to do, is go to postseason.
Not just the postseason conference, but postseason national tournament. That would be, I believe that would be the first time, wouldn't it?
At least NCAA-wise, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. As a Knight not able to return that. Still, such a huge advantage right now for the Knights. They can give up a few points.
That's true, 18-6.
And the Knights will be playing 2 matches tomorrow. Conference against Penn State Harrisburg, 11 o'clock in the morning, and that'll be followed up by Bridgewater non-conference at 3 p.m.
Oh, wow. That's a nice hit by Lonis.
Good block by the Knights, but it'll be York picking up the point.
A lift again or a double on York, so point.
York actually.
But I sure like that little. When Lonis goes to the right side of the court, when she's right front, she gets to hit outside sometimes, not just in the middle. I think this is
also the first time we've seen her serve tonight, and she's got that strange serve that time sails too wide.
Maybe that's the last time we'll see. No, she does have a good serve. When you're behind her like this, and she hits the ball right in the meaty part of her hand, and it really floats.
Knight trying to hang on to it. Over to Allred with a little tip. Good dig there by Gwynn. Gwynn's going to take it instead of Allred. Almost looked like confusion there. Allred will take this one and put it away.
27.
So the Knights just need 5 more points as Tiggs is going to check in, replacing Hoteling. Tiggs has also had a good night tonight.
She sure has. I think she was very important early on. She had a number of sets. In fact, she probably had more sets than anyone for a while.
Knight coming up for the dig there and over to Tiggs. Good block by Heyer.
Wow.
Takes in Heyer again. Domination by the Knights at the net.
Wow, this has to be one of their best nights, if not their best night blocking. Very impressive, being in the right place at the right time.
4 points to go. Good block again. That was Heyer and along with Tiggs. Good. What a dig there by McKinley Knight. Over to Gwynn. Now Allred will try to put it away, and she does.
You know, the good play before is what was kind of impressive. Is the nice up was that Gwynn had a nice up.
Yep.
And then Allred able to put it away. It's 22-7.
So the Knights just need 3 more points for match victory. York just gets it back across. Crockett, whoa, a nice setup for Tiggs. They weren't expecting that. Now they go over to Gwynn, and she goes too far outside.
Yeah, when you set a deep court set, the ball usually has to be up by the 10-foot line or the 9-foot line so the hitter can broad jump. That time was a little too deep.
22-8. Still 3 points to go for the Knights to claim this match and to stay undefeated in the Capital Conference. And a service error that York obviously could not afford.
Wow. Yeah, the service errors for both teams. It just didn't hurt the Knights as much tonight as it did York.
23-8 Knights. Great save by Crockett. Over to Gwynn. And that point will go to York as the Spartans were able to get it back over.
Oh, yeah, the referee said that the ball on the hit didn't go across the net. Sometimes the ball hits into the net and hits the blocker, and the referee actually has the best view of that, whether it touched the block or it went through the net.
Still, the Knights need 2 more points. Heyer will try to put it away.
Another
There's
good dig.
McKinley Knight with a great dig. And now they'll try Gwynn. And she puts it away. Yes, 24.
24-9.
Knights won 25-16 in the first set, 25-15. In the second set, trying to make it a 25-9 third set victory. And the crowd to its feet, trying to get the Knights their 11th straight match victory. And there it is.
Wow. What a great match for the Southern Virginia Knights.
And how dominating a performance was that? 25-16 in the first set, 25-15 in the second set, 25-9 in the third set. And again, remember, York actually led that first set 8-2. The Knights just really were dominating at that after they trailed in that first set 8-2.
Yeah, second half, since the second half of the first set, the Knights just dominated. And they have a lot of fun while they're doing it. You can see on their faces.
And so the Knights are now 15-4 on the season. They are now 6-0 in the conference. And York drops to 2-1 in the conference and now 16-6 overall. And now the Knights get ready for 2 matches coming up tomorrow against Penn State Harrisburg tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, followed by a non-conference match at 3 p.m. against Bridgewater.
Yeah, the Knights right now are playing as well as they can, I think. I'm not sure how I think the second middle blocker position that they could get a few more swings out of Heyer. And if she starts connecting with the setter, then it's going to be tough for the other team to figure out how to block and where to block. But the Knights right now are just so dominating.
We'll be joined by Nicole Gwynn here, get her thoughts on this victory here in just a few seconds. And I'll get a chance to ask Nicole a few questions. And Tom, you can also get your thoughts in about with Nicole about what changed, really turned this match around as the Knights are taking some pictures on the court right now. And again, they'll be busy tomorrow, Tom, with 2 matches tomorrow. We're now joined by Nicole Gwynn. And
oh, yes, Nicole Gwynn is the coach of the Knights. Okay, Nicole, we're going to ask you a few questions, if you will, please, Coach. What a wonderful evening. Would you just please give us your impressions of the evening?
Oh my gosh, it's just exciting. I told the girls today that Friday the 13th is lucky for people who work hard, and they worked really hard tonight. So I'm just incredibly proud, and it's exciting. It feels so good to be 4-0 in conference now.
I think that's a great quote to put on the board from now on. Coach, there are a couple questions that I have. From last year to this year, could you just give us the biggest difference in how you see why you've played so well this year, taking over from last year, and what's the difference?
Yeah, team chemistry and leadership. I met with the 4 seniors last spring, then I met with them again before our season this year, and I just kind of went over with them what they want out of this year as their last season, and they all said that they want good team chemistry and they want good examples and they want to make sure that everyone is working hard. And so I feel like I don't have to police that on my own because I have 4 seniors who are demanding that out of their teammates every day. And I think that's been the biggest difference.
So leadership. Thanks, Coach. Talk about your relationship, if you will, with your sister. Your sister, Penny Gwynn, is a senior on the team. Would you just talk about your past relationship and even into this year?
How far back do you want?
As far as you would like to go.
Penny and I have always had a good relationship. We're the only 2 in the family. Not to say that we didn't fight growing up, but I mean it's never been bad between us. And so being the coach to the sister is actually really cool. Sometimes it's hard not to get emotional when I really think about it because we're so far apart in age that we were never able to play together. And so this is the only chance that we've had to be on a team together, and it's just a really cool, special thing. And I'm not going to say it's not hard sometimes. I feel bad for her, honestly, because if I'm frustrated, she's my easy outlet. I don't have to be as filtered with her, right? And so she probably gets the raw end of the deal, but she handles it so well. And I try not to be too mean. But
Thanks, Coach. Well, how about now into the future for your team? Would you talk about what are you looking forward to now in the next few games, the next few matches, and then even in postseason? What do you think of that? Do you try to think of that? What are your impressions now?
yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah.
My impressions of the future are good, really good, very hopeful.
Could we first talk about tomorrow? Tell us about the teams you're playing.
So we're playing Penn State Harrisburg tomorrow morning. That's our first game. That's a conference game. Our second game will be against Bridgewater, which is not a conference game. Not to say that we haven't prepared for Bridgewater, but we've been hyper-focused on York tonight and Penn State Harrisburg tomorrow. So we're more keyed in on that. As far as the future is concerned, not to say that I haven't looked ahead, because we certainly have. We have a goal in mind to make it to the tournament this year, and we've prepared every day for that. But I also talked to the girls, about a staircase. I'm a clumsy person, so I use myself as an example. Don't ever try to skip too many stairs because it doesn't work out for you very well. And so we're just taking it one step at a time, 1 week at a time. And so I told them, York is the next step, and we just cross it. And now Penn State Harrisburg is the next step, and we'll take that step tomorrow morning. I don't know if that answers your question, but
yes. How big would it be to be one that if you win these next few matches, including CNU, you think that you can get ranked in the top 25, and if that's important to you as a team, and how does that affect postseason?
I still think it's going to be tough to get ranked. I guess I don't know. Our strength of schedule, I think that brings us down a little bit as far as being nationally ranked. But if we were to beat CNU, certainly we would have a lot of people's attention without a doubt.
Okay. All right. Well, Jim, do you have any questions for Nicole?
Really quick, Nicole, what turned this around? We were talking about this. You guys were losing 8-2 in the first set, but it seemed like you guys really became very active at the net in blocking.
Yeah, we did. Our freshman Haley Lonez, that's one of her big goals this year, is focusing on blocking, and I'd say she's doing a fantastic job. But to say what turned it around, I'd go back to leadership. We have 4 seniors who are very composed, and they're good at communicating with their teammates. The rest of the team looks up to them, and everybody, really the whole team, is great leaders in and of themselves. And so when you're in a situation like that, they just don't let it get them down. They're pretty good at taking a deep breath and resetting. That's a word we use a lot at practice, is just reset. And I think it's working because they're good at resetting.
And it just seems like you guys are so deep, too. I mean, in the roster, you got the inside play, or the front court play, as you mentioned, from Lonis and Allred and Gwynn and Tiggs had a great night tonight, but also the backcourt play from McKinley Knight and Ellery Crockett.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They're a fun group. And, that's a good example. I say leadership, even though McKinley and Larry are so young. They're only sophomores.
Yeah.
They show great leadership because they're in two very key roles as the libero and the setter. One's in charge of the defense, one's in charge of the offense, and they both run it very, very well.
And last night, we were talking about this during the broadcast. You guys just seem like they're having fun out there.
They do. I try to talk to them, too. I said that right before the game. I was like, you guys work so hard to be here in college, and we work hard every day, and we hold you accountable, and sometimes we get mad at you. But we do it for fun, and we do it because we love it. So.
Yeah, maybe the camera will pick us up if we stand here, they say.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Where is it? Where am I looking?
Just out that way.
Okay.
Hey, Nicole, really quick, you guys probably have to get to bed early tonight because you got two matches tomorrow,
Yes.
and really they're both important. Penn State-Harrisburg obviously is the conference match at 11 o'clock, but Bridgewater comes in at 3 p.m., and they're pretty good.
They are good. They're really good. I think statistically, at least last time I checked, I think we're a pretty good match for them. But they are a good team. I'm excited. I always love playing Bridgewater.
Well, Nicole, tremendous victory tonight. Good luck to you guys on Saturday.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Take care. Nicole Gwynn right there. And again, her team is successful. They have now won 11 straight matches, Tom. They are now, again, 15-4 on the season. They are 4-0 in the conference. And again, a dominating performance as they were able to win 25-16 in set one, 25-15 in the second set. And then a very dominating third set performance, 25-9. So straight set victory for the Knights. They make short work of a very good York team that now falls to 16-6 on the season. They're now 2-1 in the conference. That was their first conference loss, and now the Knights get ready for a very busy Saturday.
Yeah, I would like to ask the crowd, at least announce to the crowd, please come out tomorrow to watch the Knights. The times that the Knights play are 11 o'clock and at 1 o'clock.
3 p.m.
Oh, 3 p.m. is the second match. It's really important to have a good crowd. I would just like to plug the crowd to these last few matches. The crowd is so much into the match. I'm sure that's worth a few points each of the sets. And to have an 11 o'clock game, if you don't have anything going on, please come out. This is exciting to watch, and it really does help the team.
And the Knights will try to beat Harrisburg and stay undefeated in Capital Conference play on Saturday. So that's going to wrap things up. Successful night for the Knights. Congratulations to women's volleyball. They have now won 11 straight matches. And again, that's going to finish things off here from the Knight Sports Arena. I'm Jim Brasnahan for Coach Tom Peterson, our director Craig Reese, and all of our fantastic production staff. Thanks again for joining us, everyone, for Knights Volleyball.